Well, hello and welcome to another video from Real Tail Trader. My name's Simon Gray, and back in the currency markets bright and early this morning, 6 a.m, doing the not pre-market analysis, because the currency markets are open overnight, 24 hours during the week and closed at the weekends. But anyway, still kind of pre-market, because not a lot usually happens in the Asian session. But anyway, just wanted to talk this morning about a what I call a stop and reverse trade that I've taken on the Swiss franc Japanese yen. Before I get into that, you can see this on the screen. As always, quick disclaimer, this is not a signaling service. Please don't follow what I'm doing. This is really just for information purposes only. You need your own strategy in the currency markets. What I'm doing is just showcasing some of the stuff I'm thinking about, some of the stuff I'm doing, really to give you some guidance if you are new to the market about how you set up your own strategy, or if you've been in the market for a little bit longer, maybe some of the things that I'm looking at that might form some inspiration or create some inspiration for your strategy moving forward. But I'm not suggesting you buy or sell or do anything that I'm doing. Okay, so with that said, this is my Swiss franc Japanese yen trade. You'll see that yesterday I had what I call a full house signal show up. This was this YX candle here. This showed up. This closed below the 50 simple moving average on the 4-hour chart. I sold off the back of that signal. You can see that this really didn't go anywhere, and overnight we've had price creep up to close above the 50 simple moving average on the currency pair. If I look now at the daily chart, you'll see we had this trend down. I was looking at a range trade. I played this range trade at least a couple of times, once each way at least. Made some money here. Then we had this break below the range, and we've come down. The trend line overnight has been broken, and price is now trading above the daily 10 exponential moving average. It's not closed above, so it's not a signal for me, but it's trading above. And when I did my relative strength analysis overnight, let me just drag this across from the other screen. Here we go. So this is my relative strength analysis, where I look at the 10 p.m. close and then the 6 a.m. close. I'm on UK time, British summer time. And what I noticed here, that there was a shift in terms of selling the yen. Yesterday with the trade, well, the China-US trade talks breaking down, there was quite a lot of move towards the Japanese yen, a lot of bids on the Japanese yen. Overnight, that seems to have reversed for whatever reason, doesn't really matter. And the yen has lost some strength overnight, which I got from here. So basically what I do, I look at the change, I look at the biggest changes. Okay, big change there, big change there, big change there, big change there. Any change over about 25 points or pips, and those changes were all against the Japanese yen. So that kind of gave me a clue that there may be something happening. And lo and behold, this showed up on the price chart. We've got a move above the range on the daily. Sorry, not the range. A move above the downward trend line on the daily. And lo and behold, what happened here? We had a signal here where the 10 exponential moving average crossed the 50 simple moving average on the 240 chart. This is still sloping down a little bit, but I took the trade anyway. Little bit of discretion there. So what I did, I closed out my short. That's why this is in red. I closed out my short position, and I opened a long position instead with a stop here at 108.19. And now I'm looking for a move up to this level here. I'll take off half the position at 1-to-1 risk reward, so I bank some profit. Don't know what's going to happen, but at the moment this trade is starting to work. You'll see that this trade yesterday really didn't work despite the signal. And what's quite difficult, I think, for traders, and one of the things that I've had to discipline myself to do, is to take a loss, is to cut your losses short. If you read all the books, they all advise cut your losses short, let your profits run. It's very difficult to do, and you need rules in place to do it. So my rules tell me that if I'm trading a particular signal, which I was on this full house strategy, if another signal pops up in the opposite direction, I exit the original strategy, the original trade, no questions asked. So that I took a loss on that this morning, but what I've done, I potentially, and I don't know until we see what happens, I potentially saved myself some capital because it didn't trigger my what I call my initial stop. I got out as quickly as I realized, based on what price was telling me, that this trade was not going in the direction that I thought it might. So yeah, that's what I call stop and reverse. Very difficult to do. Psychologically, what people tend to do in the markets and why people tend to lose is they want to give their losing positions more room because they don't want to be wrong, so they hold their losers longer, and then when it comes to a winning position, they're worried about price reversing, so they take profits too quickly. It's exactly the wrong thing to be doing. You've got to let your profits run, cut your losses short, and have rules in place. The only way to do it, you've got to have rules and discipline. The market is unstructured. The market will do what the market's going to do. The only thing you can control is what you choose to do and how you do it. That's why you have strict rules to follow. You have some discretion, or I do certainly in terms of my strategy, some discretion in terms of my trade selection, i.e. which pair I'm going to take over another pair, because I'm not going to trade everything. But when it comes to the actual mechanics of when I get in and when I get out, I have very, very strict rules. So we'll see where this pair ends up. Just going to talk about a couple of other things that I'm looking at the moment. On the euro pound, basically yesterday I'd traded this all the way up and I exited the position here. I took off half my position on my long here. Price then reversed overnight and stopped me out for the other half of my position, and I got short at this level here. You'll see this on the daily. This is the top of the range. So we're just testing the top of the range now. So it was time to get out of my long. I'd always keep 50% on just in case it does spike up and continue, particularly when we have a trend signal within the range. But now, top of the range, I'm short this position. So we'll see where we end up. And if you were following me on eToro, my username is Simon G Forex. That will have delivered you a nice little profit on there if you're not following me but copying me. So there we go. Pound yen, I'm short again. This is a risk-free trade, so I've already took some money off at target, this target here. We've had a little bit of comeback overnight, but we're still inside the 10 exponential moving average on the 240 chart, so there's every possibility that we're going to push down, and this is the ongoing trend here, but not too worried about this. Already made money on this trade. This is a winning trade. My stop is at break even, and I'll look to add to this position if we continue down. I always pyramid into my winning positions. Okay, not looking at that one. Yeah, this trade's a little bit troublesome. I'm going to see where this candle closes, and I may exit. You see here we had a strong buy signal here. I entered here on the crossover. Now, what's happened, because price reversed very quickly after that EMA crossed my trend signal. In terms of the print on the chart, this hasn't crossed the 50 simple moving average. So slightly concerned about this, slightly concerned about this signal here. If this candle closes on strong offer volume, I will exit this position and save my capital for another trade. But we'll see. This is kind of a mini range here. If this is to continue to the upside, then this candle at 10 o'clock this morning will not be a high offer candle. We'll have, we'll see a little bit of a tail on here or whatever else. So I'll wait and see what happens there. Okay, yeah, you can see the euro strengthening against the yen, as I spoke about. This has happened overnight. Most of the pairs strengthening against the yen. Also here, there's been a slight strengthening against the Swiss franc. This is my euro CHF, euro Swissy short. Again, this is a position I put on here. I've added here. This second position is losing at the moment, but all the technical signals are pointing to further downside momentum. What I saw yesterday, we closed on strong offer volume below the 50 and 200 simple moving averages on the daily chart. Here We also closed below the 200 simple moving average on the 240 chart. We're inside the 10 exponential moving average on the 240. There is every probability that we're going to head to the bottom of this range. So I'm pretty confident in this trade. My stop is above the simple moving averages on both the daily and the 240, so it's out of range. So if that stop does get hit, I know I'm wrong and I'm out. Yeah, just holding that. Got to have some patience, see what happens. This is the one I talked about before. Yeah, so we're just deciding what we're doing here. We will see. My stop is out of range below the 50 simple moving average. So you know, if we come down and close below and trigger my stop, I'm wrong and I'm out. Aussie yen, similar story. Yen has strengthened overnight. This is a very similar trade to my euro Swiss franc, albeit this is a trend trade. But in fact, no, it's full house trade, which is a trend strategy I use. Stops up here. I added a second position here, which is in profit. We're inside the 10 exponential moving average on the daily. Trend lines are coming down. My stop is outside the range of the downward sloping 50 simple moving average. So again, just got to hold and see what happens. Patience is a virtue in the currency markets. It's sometimes very hard to do, but you know, that's what this game is all about. You look at the charts, you assess the charts based on how you interpret the charts, based on your strategy. If a signal pops up, you take that signal. Without bias. If a signal comes in the other direction, you close out the first position, take the other position. So you're playing the market both ways. I think one of the problems of, you know, long-term investing is, you know, you buy and hold, but what happens if things reverse? Well, if things reverse, instead of taking the heat, well, get out of your long, take your short opportunity. But it's more difficult to do that in the stock market. One of the reasons I like currencies is there is no bias, long or short. You know, sometimes they're moving up, sometimes they're moving down. With stocks, it can be more difficult to sell a company short. Perhaps morally it doesn't seem like the right thing to do. And yeah, it's one of the reasons I don't trade stocks. I trade currencies. Anyway, with that said, that's all. I'm going to process this video. I'll get this out and you know, trade safe. The markets can be a dangerous place. Always take independent advice before you get into this game. But trade safe, and I'll talk to you again soon.